Perfect. So today we're going to be talking about how you can use industry secrets to build high quality lead lists. I would argue building a high quality lead list is probably one of the most important things to getting meetings. So this is going to be my agenda for today. One, I want to talk about two lessons that I learned from Daniel Fazio. These alone helped 3x my business. Second, how I think about lead list building. So what's the actual mechanism behind lead list building, what the whole process is, followed by two examples of how I use lead list building for the toughest industries. And then for you guys exclusively who attended, I'm going to be giving you away my entire database collection. So everything I've collected over the past 2 years, and you can take it, use it, and build it for yourself. Before we go ahead, can you guys drop in the chat what industry you guys are from? So is it like a lot of lead gen companies here? Do you work for agencies? Are you software companies, other B2B companies? That's going to help me tailor this presentation to add more value. So a lot of agencies, B2B, SaaS. I see junk removal there, Andrew. Sales Harbor. I love it. So SaaS, B2B, lead gen, that staffing, accounting, that's perfect. So staffing firms, I have examples for you guys over here. So that's going to be super exciting. All right. Since you guys are all agencies, I'm going to give you guys two lessons that I learned from Daniel Fazio. And if you guys don't take away anything from this presentation, this is going to be the most important thing. This alone helped me increase my revenue by 3x. Lesson number one, increase your inputs. So if everyone in the business world who's a lot more successful, Daniel Fazio, Gary Vee, Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, say the same thing, it means something. Daniel Fazio said, exert shit out in the world. Alex Hormozi had like, if you want to increase your success rate, double your failure rate. Grant Cardone had 10x rule. What this means is in order to generate more revenue, book more meetings, the number one cardinal rule is increase your inputs. So for in the cold email world, that means that if you're sending 1,000 emails on Smartlead and booking 2 to 4 meetings, the simplest thing you can do is increase your inputs and send 2,000 emails to book more meetings. Lesson number two is sell what people want to buy. So all agencies under $30,000 per month should have 3 offers. A done with you, a done for you consultation. What that means is if someone comes to you with an offer that's wanting to learn from you with a consultation or a done with you offer, don't turn them away. I used to do that. I used to start with a done for you offer. And if someone came with done with you, I just used to say no. And I've left more than 80 to 100 grand on the table because of this. So a lot of your business would be land and expand. So don't turn away people and have these 3 offers in the back end. Given that, now I'm going to jump into lead list building and how I think about lead list building. So when we think about lead lists, all of us think about a bunch of emails with their first names and company that we can just upload to Smartlead. And yeah, I mean, like that's a great way. That's what lead list really is. But contradictory to what most people think, that's not how you build a lead list. A lead list, especially the high quality ones, which will actually get you meetings, need to be broken down into 2 steps. So step number 1, before you actually go into emails, is find a list of qualified companies. And this is really, really important because you never want to reach out to unqualified companies. A, your response rate will be lower. B, even if they reply to you and book meetings, you can't really sell them anything. So now you have a bunch of meetings on your calendar, which is absolutely terrible, with people you can't sell anything to, and you're just going to like disqualify them over and over again. So all you need is websites. If you have a list of websites, you can use any database to find contacts. So what you need to do is to find qualified websites. You can do this on onboarding calls with your company, go to market. Like you guys are probably the go to market leaders. Just make all of this like find qualified. So use company size filters, use revenue filters, really common. So make up your ICP using these. Industry filters, be very specific with this. Tech stack filters. Technology stack filters available everywhere. If that's relevant to you, use that. Employee by department filters. Location filters, intent. So jobs, funding, leadership changes, and specialized criteria. Using all of these, you can find qualified websites. And once you have a list of qualified websites, everything else is going to be really easy. You've solved like 60% of the problem. So how do you do that? How do you find all of this? You do this using the correct database. and scraping. So these are the two main tools in an arsenal, which we'll talk about. And I'll be giving you all the scraping and correct database tools to find a list of qualified companies. Any specific questions on finding list of qualified companies? Because this is the most important part. Nope. Yeah, Lucas, feel free to throw in questions. I'll look at it. If it's a quick question, I'll answer it. If it's gonna be something longer, I'll leave it for the end. But I have the chat open here. Particular for I will give you guys all the databases, so don't worry about this by the end of this call.
So Namit, let me quickly jump in here and enable this exercise. So how would you go about finding, let's say filtering out SaaS companies within a specific geography which cater to a specific business,
Yeah.
right? Let's say if it's a very niche use case that let's say I want to target fintech companies, right?
Yes, exactly.
For
Yeah.
India.
So fintech companies do the correct database and scraping. So fintech, there are databases for fintech that you can use. So start off with like Crunchbase and all of that stuff, and you can find a list of fintech companies. Once you have those, you can use your generic database like Apollo or something like that for all these basic filters. So you need like a broad list, and slowly you're filtering it down.
Got it. So, like, that brings me to the next question, which a lot of the people in the chat have also asked, right? Which is, firstly, what are your favorite databases to start this process from? Right? And is there any particular forums you refer to find these on?
Yeah, so I'll walk you guys through towards the end of the call. That's going to be answered towards the end.
Okay.
I have
Perfect.
like my
I'll just
list
make
of
a note
all
of
my databases.
Yeah, no worries. I'll just make a note of these questions then so that
Perfect.
all of them are answered.
All right. So by now, you guys probably have a list of qualified companies. Okay. And I'm going to make your job really easy. Step two is finding contacts. So step one is not finding contacts, and that's what most people miss. Step two, so define or create your personas. So when you're on for lead gen companies, when you're on onboarding calls for other companies, like define or create who you want to reach out within that company. What I do is I go to Apollo and I have like really, really detailed personas for each client of mine. And after that, you can do that using seniority, department. So I have like an inclusion list and an exclusion list. Let's say you're reaching out to marketing folks, have your exclusion list as operations or HR. So they're not coming in between. Titles, these will have inclusion, exclusion list. Location, really important. Sometimes you're selling stuff where you can only sell to employees with a certain location. And as your company size increases, you want to add that as a filter. The next thing is always use cheap tools first. Now, when you're starting, there's a fine balance between time and money here. When you're starting out, money is more valuable. You can't just burn stuff. So use the cheap tools first. If you're a Smartlead user, Smartlead Slack, there are a lot of people offering really, really cheap tools. So you can leverage that, but involves scraping. Apollo is one of the cheaper ones. For all the remaining ones, let's say use the cheap tools first, and there are certain emails you can't find. Use expensive tools for the remaining ones. And that's kind of how the process goes. So that way you can create one of the cheapest lists possible. And now when you're going ahead and creating hundreds of thousands or millions of emails trying to find, this adds up really fast. So using step one and step two, that's really it. Like once you guys get a hang of this, it becomes really easy to start building high quality lead lists. Now, what I want to do is go into examples for lead list building. No questions right now. Into lead list building, and two things I did. For all of you guys who've done recruiting lead list building, you know it's probably the hardest ones to do, just because I believe like it's hard to prove that you're good at what you do. So people don't take you up on that. So very specific use case I had was a client where I had to recruit for specific jobs. They had only two conditions where they were like, we only hire for specific jobs and we only hire in specific industries. So they had weird jobs like CAE engineers, mechanical engineers, and stuff like that. They wanted to do it. So my idea was, hey, how do I create a list of high quality companies first and then go from there? My solution to this is step one, scrape LinkedIn and Indeed jobs using Octoparse. Octoparse is another software. They offer a free trial. It's like a 2 week or 1 month trial. And all of us have inboxes for days. So this was like an unlimited trial. Step two was clean leadless industry using Python plus Apollo. So again, Apollo has free company list. Python's generally free. You need to know a little bit of coding. So this gave me like thousands of jobs and companies to reach out to for this specific client. based on job titles alone. After that, it was a breeze. After that, I used some AI for personalization using job description. This is optional, you don't really need to. And step 4, I found contacts using Apollo. That's it. That's how I did it for recruiting and recruiting offer. And you can do this for any and all recruiting offers. It also helps you find other lead lists. So while scraping LinkedIn, Indeed, you will get other staffing agencies. You can use clean lead lists using industries via the Python or Apollo. That's going to be the solution engine for that. And lead list number 2. So overseas hire for agencies. Now this one's kind of recruiting related too, but super tough just because again, trust factor is low via cold email. And this client in specific was hiring VAs for marketing agencies. So yeah, so the VAs for marketing agencies. Again, like I could probably pull generic marketing agencies, but we needed a specific angle. We were very vague, and like initially we needed something really specific to be able to add value. So the solution here was that we scraped agencies using clutch.co. For those of you who haven't heard, clutch.co is a database of all agencies, and they have really specific data. So they divide their database based on, hey, like what the agency does, what their main revenue source is. Once we scrape that, step 2 was find out how they make the most revenue using Clutch. And that's again a free scraping tool. You can do that. Bhavi, I'm going to answer the Clutch question scraping tool as well. But step 3, specific campaigns offering marketing assistance with those skills. So step 2 was, hey, like if they're a PR agency or something like that, we have a marketing assistant with PR skills. This campaign in specific printed, it worked really well. And then we found contacts using Apollo. These were the 4 steps that we used to find specific campaigns. Swapnil, any questions that you picked out from the chat that I can answer about this process?
So primarily, people just want to know people are wanted to know the databases that you're referring to. Are there any set databases, which I think you've already answered?
Yep.
And also, what are your top preferred list building sites? Right, we've got a lot in the chat. Clay being one of the topmost right now. We also have got ListKit, we've got Find Email, right? And of course the tried and tested Apollo, which is in place. So for anybody that's asking that, there are multiple sources, but these are the top trusted ones.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, all databases, everything I'm going to give in the next 2 minutes, which you guys can use. Every single one that you've probably heard of. I have more than 25 to 30 in this presentation itself, or maybe like 15 to 20. But yeah, any other questions? Any good tools for scraping emails, addresses out of websites? I'm looking. Yeah. All right. So yeah, probably something that you guys are waiting for. This is going to be my entire database collection. So feel free to screenshot it. If you guys really want to hear the screenshot noises coming, you can unmute yourself and screenshot as well.
Actually, don't screenshot it. Don't worry, folks. I'll be sharing this meeting recording. So you're not going to lose out on these databases. I will share this meeting recording with you folks by tomorrow. But if you genuinely want to go and apply this right after this call, feel free to do so.
All right. So these are the scraping tools that I use: Python, Appify, Instant Data Scraper, and BrowserFlow.app. They all have different use cases, so you'll have to probably explore it. If you're not super tech friendly, honestly, you can hire someone off of Fiverr or Upwork for Python. If the use cases, if you're using it way too often, it's probably better to use Python, but you can use the other ones. These are scraping tools. Now comes the databases. This is the start of my database list. So Apollo is one of the cheapest for contacts. That's what I use the most. Just probably started. Listkit.io. Ocean.io is the best lookalike companies database, and they do have a cheaper plan now. I think they just launched it, so it's like 300, $350 a month. Crunchbase for funding signals, probably one of the better ones. PitchBook for revenue data. Another hack here is like PitchBook is free for American college students. Most colleges have a tie-up with PitchBook. So if you can find that, otherwise it's super expensive. Lead Magic for ad spend data, one of the really powerful tools, probably the only one where I can find ad spend data. Maybe there are others, but I couldn't find them. They have some technographics and job information. Then there's Owler.com, very specific industry data, a little expensive, Harmonic.ai. This is my other lead list. I'm not going to go through every one of them. You guys can like feel free to take it, but call out for golden leads here because you can scrape LinkedIn without cookies. Builtwit's powerful. Storylead's probably the best e-commerce data that I've found. Others for e-commerce data as well. These are mostly my offsite scrapers. So Phantom Buster, Google Maps, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn scrapers. Outscraper is pretty good. I've used this a lot. Podcast data, podseeker.co. I use this as well. Definitive HC is a little expensive, so you probably will not need this very often. And this is my agencies and VC data. So clutch.co, sortlist.com, agencyvista.com, and this is for PE and VC. Source Scrub, Connect Visible, Grata. One last thing before we go. For verification, one of the most important things for deliverability, it doesn't matter where you get your data from. It doesn't matter. I always use Million Verifier for everything. Even if like someone hands me their email list, I'm going to use it to Million Verify before uploading it to Smartlead. So one of the cheapest sources there. Lead Magic, I think they just launched their verification tool. That's one of the cheapest as well. Zero Bounce, I don't know which one's better, Million Verify or Zero Bounce, but Zero Bounce feels a lot more enterprise. So I use it when for enterprise clients. And Scrubby.io is for catch-alls. So probably the only tool out there for catch-alls. That's where I use it for. And yeah, that's it. Questions?
Before we dive into the questions, folks, can you use the raise hand feature? You'll be able to go do that from the reactions on the bottom right corner. Just raise your hand so that I can spotlight you and we can go through these questions one by one. Also, would request you to please switch on your video so that I can spotlight you so that Namit can answer those questions. All right, we've got Lucas. Go for it, Lucas.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for the call, by the way. What are your thoughts on using Never Bounce to, clean up the data from emails?
So that's interesting. A lot of tools out in the market like Debounce, Never Bounce, probably all do the same thing. I don't have numbers as to which one is better. I just started off with a couple of tools that people recommended to me and they work really well. So I stuck with them. If you're not getting a lot of bounces, if you're getting less than 1-2% bounces, you're fine with Never Bounce.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I would also look at the kind of bounces you're getting because that's important. Like if you're getting a bunch of other bounces, then it's not Never Bounce's fault. If you're getting mailbox not found, that's probably because of Never Bounce.